So the man once synonymous with climate doomerism, Bill Gates, is making a shocking about-face. He wrote a new memo, and he says, although climate change will have serious consequences, it will not lead to humanity's demise. The doomsday outlook is causing much of the climate community to focus too much on near-term emissions goals, and it's diverting resources from the most effective things we should be doing. But will the Democrats get the message?
You believe this is the toughest challenge humanity has ever faced?
Absolutely.
The world is going to end in 12 years.
If we don't, it will be a death sentence to countless of people.
A term they've coined called climate anxiety. Period. Right? Which is fear of the future and the unknown.
Greg, a lot of that money that was spent funded a mass delusion, and now they're paying the price.
It is infuriating, and it's hopeful. It's infuriating because, like the trans issue, those who questioned the lies were demonized. We are accused of putting lives in danger. It was the exact same strategy. Trillions of dollars were extorted from taxpayers based on the notion that this was an existential threat, and if you ignored it, like they told you, you were going to let people die. Now we know that's a lie, and it was a lie that impacted the mental health of generations and the physical health of a civilization. People were told to stop having kids. If you had kids, you were hurting the planet. But it is hopeful that Gates and others are ceding to reality. We saw it happen already. Nobody's talking about the data anymore because the data, the climate models, they're finally admitting are fraudulent. They were retrofitted so that they matched the results they were getting. And now that's out in the open. So now, and then you see Greta the Ghoul, she's tossed aside Mother Earth for her new crusade of hating the Jews. Think about all the grifters, though, who got filthy rich off this ruse. Where is Al Gore, the patron saint of the false apocalypse? But Bill Gates, why did he do this now? I think it's because he got divorced. You know, before he was trapped in a bad marriage, he accepted the doomsday apocalypse. You know, what do I care? I'm married. It's over. Then he gets divorced. It's like, I can live. I want to live. It's like you're in a terrible marriage. Why try to lose weight? But then you get divorced. You get a hairpiece. You get like, you start going to the gym. You buy a sports car. That's what now he realizes, boy, it totally changed his framework.
And the thing that he is going to continue to do is fund new technologies, which is great.
Nuclear.
Okay, that would be helpful. New nuclear.
Which isn't new, but necessary.
But the other thing that happened with a lot of this funding, partly from him, but many others, is great American companies were demonized and sued and had to spend a gazillion dollars to defend themselves in court, which took away opportunities for either economic growth, bonuses, other things.
And why that is so difficult to swallow is because during that, concurrently with that, Bill Gates himself had $1.4 billion invested in fossil fuel investments. Mm-hmm. And that's actually just one of his tax report. Like the amount that he actually this entire time has been invested in innovations in that industry, while I think not only simultaneously demonizing it, but fostering that culture of demonizing. That was the issue. And I liken this to the trans movement, where when doctors dared to say, I resist this and I protest this, they were silenced, they were canceled, they were shunned professionally and personally. And here, the science hasn't changed. Every scientist during this entire era that dared to say this isn't the science and this isn't what's happening and the data does support a moderate management for it was totally shunned and kept out of the global conference and alliances that somehow were the popular kids only. And then that foments creates people like Greta Thunberg, chaining herself to the boat and whatnot. But John Kerry, right? We have 9 years left in 2021. I mean, the comments go on where it was so urgent and it was so emergent. And the reality, too, is that there's a generation of kids in this country that do have anxiety, that do have an innate sense of fear that was passed down to them from their parents that made them hold signs on the corner and tell them that, the water was drying up. And it could have this entire time been used towards stewardship, conservation measures, and actual things that would have helped.
What was it they said that that there was no more debate?
Science is settled.
The science is settled.
Yeah.
And Jessica, that ended up, science is never settled, but it was something that funded a lot of campaigns, small dollar donations for Democrats against Republicans for a long time.
Definitely. And
my party is in a big reassessment moment. There was that memo that came out this week, Deciding to Win, that surveyed 500,000 people, which I think is the largest sample size I've certainly ever combed through something. And it kept emphasizing that issues like climate change or LGBTQ plus issues animate a very small percentage of the base. But I think that Bill Gates is doing two things. One, he is recognizing that he got out over his skis a bit in the way that he was talking about it, like in that interview with Anderson Cooper, but also that he needs to be very strategic about how to deal with this administration and what's going on right now. And he is focusing his attention to the cuts from USAID. And he's plugging those holes because he wants to make sure that kids in Africa get their medicine and that food gets to people who actually need it. The pendulum cannot fully swing in the other direction. You know, Elon Musk is someone who believes in climate change, obviously created a car with zero tailpipe emissions for a reason.
And you hate them. And now you hate them. I mean, meaning the Democrats now hate
my
them.
peoples, I guess so. Not everyone. We're still driving them. We just have the bad bumper sticker that's like bought before Elon went crazy.
Another thing is that a lot of that money went to Arabella Advisors, and that's a network that gives a lot of money to all this climate activism. Like, for example, those lunatics that throw red paint against masterpieces in museums, or how about the people that block highways and prevent people from getting to work?
Think about it. There are two types of Americans on this issue right now. Those that are sitting there wearing our country's uniform, hoping that Congress gets its stuff together long enough that they get paid for going out on the bomb range this week or riding a helicopter over a sea this week. And those that need a safe space on their college campus because they have anxiety over science that isn't settled, over climate change. And those are the two types of people. And of those two types of people, which one's most likely to vote for Trump and which one's most likely to be sane? I mean, I think that Trump has won another war. He won the climate change war now. Americans are coming around. When you want to talk about petroleum products, think about how much oil was used to make all those syringes for all those vaccines during COVID. I mean, just the impact and imprint of petroleum on our lives is endless. And this idea that you're going to attack it is ridiculous because you want those things too. You want to go to REI. You know, I want to go to Bass Pro Shop though. But anyway.
Yeah, but you got to give credit to Musk on this, whether you're looking at the trans issue or the climate issue or even the border issue. I mean, Fox had a role in the border issue. All of these wouldn't have, a lot of this stuff would not have been exposed if he hadn't purchased X. A lot of the climate hysteria and propaganda was on pre-Musk X, as was the trans stuff.
And what was that guy's name? Michael Mann.
Michael Mann,
Hockey
who's,
staff?
yeah.
He's a hockey stick. Yeah, a lot of people made a lot of money and made others miserable. But Bill Gates, maybe he'll lead a charge.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.